Looks like I should be live here, right? Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? This is TBone here, and for some reason, YouTube is telling me that there's an error, but it also shows that I am currently live. So if you can see and hear me just fine, let me know, and I'll keep going. Otherwise, I might need to figure some things out. But anyways, just in case it is going, I'm just gonna say, welcome to the stream here. This is gonna be the first stream where I do a sort of a Sunday post event discussion, and I'm gonna use this time to just play the game and not worry about things like the event deck and or anything like that. But we can use this time to talk about the game and talk about our thoughts. I definitely have my thoughts, and I know that a lot of you do as well. And this might be a good opportunity to also kind of get more of a live view of what I'm doing with with my deck, so that we can try and figure out the damage. I still can't get it consistently, and so it's still been really frustrating. And so wanted to hear your thoughts and what kind of cards you're using, and just in general, how's it going this event? It's going to be pretty low key, and it'll be a little bit longer. It won't be as rushed as when I first did it during the preview, where I try to keep it within 15 minutes or less. This one, it just kind of, we'll go for a little bit and see how we do. All right, so before I started here, I also was trying to farm some solo keys. I think keys is in general kind of an issue in Slayer events now. Just in general, keys are less than ideal, and in order to get any keys, you have to really hit the guild bosses. And I have to admit, since Gem Crush has been introduced, solo is a lot more fun than guild bosses. I personally, when I have to hit a series of guild bosses, it makes me fall asleep. So it's not fun at all for me, and so it's just more fun to do to the solo bosses, just because it is a little bit more engaging. But at the same time, it's extremely frustrating hitting the solo bosses, because I cannot tell between the bosses whether I'm going to hit for a quadrillion damage or if I'm going to hit for 10 trillion damage. So it's there's issues with everything. All right, let's go and do one of this. We're gonna play with this deck here. It has weaken. I don't really have weaken dispel, but this is something that can be overcome if you have the event ultimate form in here. And also sometimes, like with a relic that I have in place, Lion's Pride, sometimes it also handles that for me. So let's take a look here. So I'm using the deck that I showed, I guess it was Thursday, or it might have been Wednesday night. And so this is the deck I'm using right now, and it doesn't work against Fear. Many of you call that out, and so that definitely is true. I don't bother with Fear, and it's good. I didn't get hit. So really the card that I don't want to get hit with Weaken really is just my unit area, and if it doesn't get hit, then I'm golden, and if it does get hit, then I try my best to try and get a Gem Crush, and that usually works out okay. All right, so let's see with our first one how we do here. And yeah, this one's not going to be very good, because the problem here is if you have like a big cluster of red gems with your so 672, so it's okay. But if you have a big cluster of red gems when you try and do a match, even if you have like a bunch of power gem 20s, it feels like it just doesn't do much. It just feels like it just, and you end up with like less than 100 trillion, even though you have the cards that should go a lot higher. And so that's the thing that really frustrates me. Like there was a time when I was in a Infernal boss and did my best to try and scatter all my gems and saved a bunch of dark gems, and then got like a bunch of really big red gems. And then after I did an attack, it gave me here's another one that's just like, I don't know. Let's see how this one goes. Right? So like after all that too, like look at that. 181. Like, what's the difference? What was the difference between the last time and this time? And then the time that's wasted trying to sort of look for the gems here, that's also an issue. Like generally I can get about 3 hits in. This time around only 2, so it's been not very good. Not a very good fight here. And you can see like after all that, barely did any damage, barely did any dent to the boss here. And it just gotta go back in, gotta do like 3 or 4 more fights. And sometimes people just give up. Like they completely give up on the boss, and then so you kind of keep going, and so yeah, that's basically the state of the game right now. And So sometimes I try to focus on the diamond bosses, but almost all diamond bosses have fear. Almost all the ones that come up. Look at that. It's like Jogaya, Geogaya, and I think it was, I don't remember the other one. Geogaya and Sabrina. Look at that. Like, these are all fear bosses, and I just like skip them all. So let's see. Nathan Hydra Gen Crush makes most decks a one-turn deck. You love it. For decks, for bosses that are small, that have small enough health, that's true. But with these increased health bosses, to do anything to remain competitive, it really requires you to go a lot further, though. Let's see. Ideas matter. Getting keys made you stop playing. It's frustrating to play and then getting warmed up with no keys. Yeah, that's sort of my issue, right? So I have 68 keys. And I'm kind of hoping that along the way that I'll also get, some guildmates helping out with the guild bosses so that I can also farm a little bit along the way. But yeah, like having to stop and then go. And there's nothing worse than having something like 8 keys and then getting rallied to an infernal boss and you can't get into it. And then you go get a key, come back, and the boss is either dead or full, right? So it's just constantly having to manage your keys in Slayers is just not fun. Let's see. So the Master Collection, the last Arcane Fire Slayer has the spell Weaken. You're using that one anyway. So I think you're talking about... Okay, so you're using that one. So yeah, I mean, if you're using like an arcane card, that's an option also. Okay, well here's Santa, so let's go ahead and do that. So Santa's a good boss. It has dodge. So dodge, I think now is most people's favorite boss to hit, just because it's one that the ultimate form has a dispel for, and it's one that doesn't impact you as much. Fear is the one that debilitates the team like way more than anything else, really. And so generally these bosses don't stay alive very long because a lot more people go after it. Ah, shoot. I accidentally did a swap there. But that's okay. I'm gonna build up the gems anyway. So some of the key things that I have at least sort of thought about, like I think I learned, is you want to try and keep as many dark gems as you can, and also depending on the situation, you might want to activate your more of your fire cards first before your dark, and sometimes you want to do the other way around. Now look at that, and all of that 68 trillion, 64.8 trillion, and that was. I expected a little bit more, right? And that gave me 10%. So it's like, it's okay. But I honestly expected to at least give me like 100 too. So like, that's the thing. Like you never really know. All right, well, here's an Eternal Kokopelli. It's a weekend one, so I guess we'll go with that. Claudette, thank you very much. Thank you for joining for the stream here. So today is going to be a little bit different. This is not going to be so much a, this is exactly how you do certain things. I mean, we will talk about it, and I hope that through this stream we can maybe kind of have a discussion. We can answer some questions. We can talk about it. But generally, I just want to play. I just want to kind of, show how I'm doing with my progress, and, how I am working towards the end of this event, kind of give my thoughts. And so my honest opinion here is that they really shouldn't have just gone all in with the health increase right away without really understanding sort of the impact, and without understanding truly like how the decks all work. And there is nothing like, I really feel like it's a terrible feeling when you have a full event deck and you can't even use it, right? So when I have to go and use my full deck, let's see. So this one I had like over 260 and I only got 660 trillion there. Like, I don't know what's going on. But anyways, there's nothing that feels worse than having to go and use your event deck and feel like, hey, I'm using a full event deck and it is going to be a disadvantage. I think that when you start saying to yourself, like, I spend coins or I spend gems, I spend money to buy myself the latest and greatest deck, and it's worse than when somebody comes along with a couple of like the set cards. Like, and it's not just any cards, it has to be specific older cards. When you say that, oh, it's a disadvantage because I don't have those cards, but you spent money, you spent gems, you spent time acquiring these new and the most up-to-date decks, and they can't compete, right? Okay, I have a Power Gem 20. You see it? A 20. Okay, Fire 20. And there you go. 1.8. So that was a little bit better. I was like, I wasn't sure if that was going to end up with like a 20 trillion damage with a Power Gem 20 that I was able to do a swap on. So anyways, right, like you should be feeling good. You should feel good about using your event deck. Okay, now here's the other challenge that you have to also be careful of. Like when you do a Power Gem swap, and if you're doing a swap where there's like no other clusters with the Fire Gems around you, this is what you end up getting into. You end up getting into a situation where you don't have enough Fire Gems to power up. And because of the fact that your Dark Gems keep spawning, I got lucky that it didn't overwrite it. They would sometimes overwrite your Fire Gems, and you have to like work hard to try and get it matched. There was another time when I did an Eternal Boss, and I spent most of my time trying to get my Fire Gem match to a point where I had maybe 2 attacks. The rest of the time was just trying to get the Fire Gem match, and that really sucked because I ended up doing like no damage. So this time around, I was lucky. I think I wasted about close to 10-second game clock though. So let's see how much we end up doing here. I think my biggest hit, a single hit that I did. Okay, what happened here? I thought that I had enough Fire Gems. Anyways, my single biggest hit that I did in an Eternal Boss one time, I think was around close to 7 quadrillion total. 4.8 or something from my Blitzkrieg, and then another 1.5 to 2, close to 2 on my Merrick. And so that was, a stroke of luck and whatever have you. But I was able to get there after like a lot of setup, like a lot of time put into setup. But because I don't really have any, I don't have really enough Slayer Fire Relics, I can't really get my Slayer skill points high enough. So here's one 606. Like I can't really tell. It's just like the variance is so high. Can't really tell when I'm going to get good damage and not. I think total so far I've gone maybe about close to 3 quadrillion maybe. I don't know. And now I'm sort of fighting to get my. Now I have to fight to get my Fire Gem matched. Because the problem with this deck is there's no passive fire gem match, a gem spawn. And so here, like this is the problem I'm running into. Like I cannot for the life of me get a fire gem to come out that doesn't get overridden. I might as well just quit this match at this point. Right? Because I need to get so this here's the problem. Like I can't do this anymore. It just won't match up, and then I time out. So let's take a look and see how much damage we end up doing here. It feels like a waste, right? It's such a waste of a 60-second clock that I cannot get enough Fire Gems to go. That's sort of the danger with using a dual affinity deck with both golems and also area. So that's the risk that you run into. So I end up going with 5 quadrillion here. No longer MVP. Does that even get me 5%? Like if it gets me 5 to 10%, I think I don't care. 5%. I guess I do care a little bit because that's a lot of because I think I'm close. That's just a lot of trophies to be leaving on the table. So I'm gonna go in with this one instead because this at least gives me some passive spawn abilities. Let's see if we can get a little bit better damage here. The Pondering Pigeon. You gave up on quad decks because you only have Veta from Lions, and damage was so inconsistent you just using event deck and avoiding Corellian bosses. So another thing that people would do is they would also use the last Fire Commander deck, and that is a Fire Immortal, so that also works. Or you can use if you have the Santa, right, then you can just use your Noble Fire card directly. You don't have to worry about using area. You don't have to worry about using Blitzkrieg. The reason why people use Blitzkrieg is because they have access to high performance unit area, and so it makes a nice synergy. But honestly, if you have Santa, that could also work really well. All right, so I'm using the. Okay, so here you go. Like I want to use this. They have like look at the dark ones. They're like super powered up. And how much damage did I do here? 517 trillion. Like I want this one to be overridden, so I'm gonna try and save this if I can. See this one on the bottom corner here? It's what is it? 17. That's a 17. I want that. Okay, so let's see if we can. Let's see what we can do here. So what I want to do is I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to try and move this up a little bit so that I can give it some space, so that if I can override it with some power gems, then hopefully I can. Okay, so let's go ahead. The problem is I didn't have enough fire gems to match it. Okay. That was such a good setup too. Oh my gosh. I just need some fire gems, and I need a passive fire gem spawn, which I think is going to happen every 3 to 4 turns. And or let's hope for like a gem fire gem to fall. Like it's just not happening. I'm just not getting my fire gems, and they're too far from each other when they do spawn. All right, so there's a couple here. I can't get this. Okay, so there's one up there. It's extremely frustrating when you get into this situation, and like the reason why this happens is because you're sort of forced to try and get your damage based on, you know, you don't want to get your fire. You don't want to get the fire gems to be in a cluster. So you want to specifically try and spread them out, and then when you do that, you just do like a 2-gem match. Well, what happens here is the rest of the gems that get matched because of that mechanic, they don't count towards your battle skill gauge, and so what ends up happening is exactly this. You end up in a situation where you can't do anything. Like how much time have I wasted there just trying to clear this? I haven't had attack in like over like a minute and a half. Okay, so and like that was the reason why I even brought in Death Bowls of Despair, but it just wasn't as helpful as I would have liked. Okay, so let's go ahead now and see how much damage you can do. So like you can see there's that 17 again. Let's try and you know what? Oh my god. Well, I want to see how much damage I can do with that. Another 500. That was such a waste. Such a waste. I think I read somewhere somebody saying about circuit break. So I tried using circuit break with the Bonafide Brawlers as well. I think it generally works okay, but I do get less damage than I do with this deck. I get less damage with this deck. With the Hilaria deck compared to this one. I don't know why. Like I feel like, you know, I'm actually getting more intensity with the arcane damage, and so I should be doing better, but I end up not. And so haven't figured out, but we can definitely give it a try again. The whole point here is to try and explore and to try something different. All right. Guess let's try this. And this is what I'm talking about. Now we're going to be running low on the fire chance again, but I'm hoping that this one's going to be a big damage. So that's 1.5 there. So that's okay. Now, with all of the sort of missteps I've had, I'm wondering if I even did enough damage to get me that 10%. Like right now, sort of my concern is, well, did I even do enough to get 10% so that like it justifies the amount of keys I spent to hit this boss twice? I don't know. Let's see. And I'm not going to be able to have enough time to do another attack, so that was basically all wasted. All right, so let's see. Let's see if we ended up using 18 keys for 5% or for 10%. If it was 10%, then it would have been worth it, but if it was just, you know, ended up with 5%. Okay, so it was worth it because it was another 1.69 billion trophies. So at least that was worth an additional 9 keys. So that was sort of, you know, like my thought process, my justification for going back in there just so that I can get some more. There was sort of like a mad rush of trophy here. So Strong, Eerie, and Jack Nguyen all of a sudden have started creeping up from where they were. So like either they just started playing today or something, but they were well behind just maybe yesterday. Not that I would like to stay in top 5 because that gives me that bumps me to legend next event. But honestly, like I don't know how much I care enough about this based on the frustration like these bosses give me to like try and stay on that much longer to try and compete. So like I know I'm gonna be top 10 regardless, and if I drop out of top 5, I guess I'll be okay. Anyways, let's see what else we're talking about here. So Blueberry, you grew the health increase was introduced too early. When the player has event deck, players should be able to kill in 3 rounds. Yeah, so let's take a look, shall we? And this is what happens when I try to use an event deck. There's only 2 minutes remaining, so it's gonna be a little bit of a waste of keys here. But this is my event deck, and I have a 4-star, 5 times awaken, Despos of Despair that gives me 10 times damage. And this is a full event deck with 2 Master Collection cards, 1 Ultimate Form, and 1 ultra rare. Granted, I didn't level up too much and I didn't evolve it, but honestly, like, it's not as necessary. Like, awakening and stuff does better than just straight up using potions, and it eats up so much potions that I haven't really bothered. But the key here is, the point here is, I have the full event deck. I should be able to do something, right? And I have 2 cards that dispel fear. Okay, I have 2 cards that dispel fear also. So my problem right now is the health is so high that at the end of my first full attack, I want to see how much I get. Do I even get 5%? Like, if I can get at least 5% after a full attack with my event deck, full event deck, I guess I should be happy. And the second thing I want to look at is, like, am I even able to dispel fear? Okay, because fear is one of those skills that I just absolutely despise, because I feel like it never gets dispelled. Even if I have multiple cards, unless I have one that is like a guarantee. The reason it happens that way is because the bosses here have fear level 5, and my cards have dispel level 6, and that gives you maybe, like, that gives you a, is it 80%? Or is it maybe less than 80%? I think it's less than 80% with 1 level. But anyways, you don't have a guarantee. And if you have multiple cards, the way that the spell works is, when you have multiple cards that give you a dispel, it's not that the combination of their level increases your chances. It's that every card gets an equal opportunity to try and dispel it. So if your first card fails to dispel, then your second card then tries to dispel. So, like, if you have multiple cards that can dispel it, that does mean that, well, you have that many more chances to try and dispel it. But sometimes I notice that every single one of them just fails to dispel. And fear is one of those cases where if you can't dispel it, then you're basically screwed. And in this situation, in this deck, it's okay because, well, I'm going to be able to passively spawn fire gems. So I'm not passively, but I'll be able to get fire gems. And I don't have any dark gems overriding the fire ones, so that's okay. But with unit area and with golems in the deck, if you get hit by fear once, like, it's basically game over. All right, so I have other people hitting the boss as well, so I don't know exactly how much damage it did. So I'm gonna have to take a look. But we still have 11.9 quadrillion health remaining. I need to get used to saying quadrillion. Last time when I did the video for how to get the quad damage, I kept saying trillion when I meant to say quadrillion, and people kept calling me on that. So I need to get used to it. All right, let's take a look at the results here. So this is a full event deck, okay? Full event deck, and honestly, whether you have like a 3-star ultimate form or a 1-star ultimate form, probably doesn't make too much of a difference because you're not gaining any more damage output. So 430 trillion. 430 trillion damage using a full event deck with 1,000% damage boost coming from Despos of Despair. Feels bad, right? Just feels bad. Like, my thought process here is, when they decided to bump up the health by saying Gem Crush is forcing us to have to bump up the health of the bosses, I think that they just looked at the first event that came out with the Earth, right? So if we take a look right now, compare this event to the previous Slayer event, okay? So last event, what we had was the Intrepid Voyagers, all right? And so this one gives you basically power gems every single turn. It has a 2-turn cooldown. It's a great deck. But really what made it a great event is anybody who had hard-won gorillas, and I definitely worked as hard as I could to make sure everybody got a hard-won gorillas. If anybody had a hard-won gorillas, and if they had jailers, they were cruising. Like, I was using that deck, and I was just, MVPing Corellian bosses left, right, and center. But if they used just that data to say, okay, Gem Crush is too overpowered. Everybody is crushing those bosses. We need to bump up the boss health. Then they completely misunderstood the data, and they didn't really understand what was happening. They did a last commander event. Before we even played a commander event, they went ahead and did that. And after everybody, smashed bosses with hard won gorillas and jailers, they went and gave us a 6-tier prestige. They haven't actually given us the opportunity to test the event with the event deck with Gem Crush. They needed to do this for at least one season. They needed to go through all of the affinities. They probably needed to do 2 seasons before they introduced health increase. I didn't ask for health increase. I don't think anybody asked for health increase. I think we were happy with the fact that we were able to find a deck that wasn't a full event deck to compete. Now what's happening is you have exactly one formula. You have exactly one formula to be successful in all events, because the meta here is get a card that can give you a attack boost from a commander deck, get the event ultimate form so that you can get the 9 times damage boost, and then find another card that meets that card's damage boost, and you're golden. So next event is going to be Water Immortal. So guess what's going to happen? Guess what's going to make a comeback? It's going to be Unit Area and Golems, and then it's going to be the Wave Warriors. Okay, like who needs an event deck? Who needs it now? So why would you want to buy event deck if all you're going to do is stretch yourself out all event, feeling like you're behind? Like, you shouldn't feel behind. You shouldn't, when you buy event deck, it shouldn't mean that you automatically cruise to the top, but it shouldn't feel like you're hindered from being able to have fun. It's just, so it's not that it's not like, I'll be clear, Gem Crush itself is not the problem. And I had some people that have commented, to me saying like, hey, you supported Gem Crush before it came out. Look at the state it is. And, what are your thoughts now? What I think right now is there's 2 things that were overlooked. The first one is Gem Crush was supposed to provide this element where, hey, you open up the board with more power gems. Maybe you want to save it. Maybe you want to do something more with it. And, everybody's on the same playing field, and then you can do something with that. And like, it's not just like turn 2, swipe, and the boss is dead. All right. It happened that way last Earthslayer event. It didn't happen this time. And I think we're sort of seeing like what happens when you don't have like an overpowered deck. But what really is the problem now is, number one, nobody understands how damage actually works anymore. Nobody understands, right? If we can at least have a consistent understanding of how damage works, we could at least do something about it, okay? Even if it's slow, everybody faces the same situation. So nobody understands it. And the second thing is, the meta is to the point where, honestly, you need to have this set deck. Like I said, you have to have this set deck in order to succeed. And I don't think that was the intention. I don't think that was the intention when Gem Crush was introduced. And so I would say that the way things are right now, the meta and the experience is not fun. But I'm not going to say it's only because of Gem Crush. I would say there's a big part of it that contributed to it. But I definitely I'm gonna have to do this. But there's definitely a big part of it, and that is just increase the health way too soon. They didn't examine the data the way they're supposed to. They didn't do the due diligence to wait and see what happened. And this is what happened. Now, there are some people that have said to me, they feel like, what? It's getting to a point where I don't know how they're going to be able to fix it. And honestly, I don't know. I feel like there's 2 sides of the story here for me. The first thing is, like I said, I feel like I'm at least not, this is not going to be very good damage. I'm at least not falling asleep when I'm hitting solo bosses. So that's the first thing. So the difference between solo boss and the guild boss is I at least have to think, right? Like I'm actively forced to look at my cards and try to understand what I'm doing. And so that at least gives me, like that focus on, I'm not like falling asleep, like I said. But the other problem I'm having right now is I don't know how to deal damage though. That's the problem. Like I waste a lot of time right now trying to figure out how to do damage. And part of it is, part of it is skill based, right? Like I'm just not good enough right now. I need to get better. But look at that. That was such a waste. I think I did like total 100 trillion, right? But like the good thing is, yes, now we have to think about it, but the really, really bad thing is just, well, like, it's just so random. How frustrating is it to go in and be excited about, like, finally getting to the point where you have something that you think is going to get good damage and come back with just, like, a goose egg. So let's see, Convoluting Deep last season, 430 would have been great damage. Exactly. Like, now we're like, oh my gosh, I only dealt 700 damage. What's wrong with this deck? Like, can you imagine us saying that? Maybe even just a month ago? Only 700 trillion. Gosh, what's wrong with me? I only dealt 2 quadrillion damage. Like, there's just something wrong with that statement. The fact that I can't even get used to saying quadrillion should say something. I remember when if you guys look back in my history, one of my older videos I made was I think captioned like, "Hey, look, my first billion damage. I managed 1 billion damage using this deck," and that was one of my I think that actually got some pretty good views, and that was sort of a Frankenstein deck. Oh my gosh, okay, that was a good one. 2.7 quadrillion. And I think I did that because I had, I think, like a 16 and maybe like a 12 or something like that. So I knew that was going to be a big damage there. But the problem now is I don't have enough fire gems. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to sacrifice my, I'm going to have to activate, here you go. So I'm going to have to activate this, and then I need to, I think, 2 more fire gem matches so I can get him. Yeah, he needs 6 gems. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice my my dark gems here. So yeah, so like that one was a Frankenstein deck where I basically just, like cobbled up together some cards, and then total damage over 20 seconds, total damage was 1 billion. And I was super happy with that. All right. 20-second full fight using the cards I had. And this is like, I don't even know what it matched there. I got distracted. Oh, look, 62 trillion. Where 62 trillion would have been good, I would have been happy with. Now it's kind of like, oh my gosh, it's like next to nothing. And there's still 10 minutes remaining. How much did I end up doing there? So with 2 attacks, ended up with 4 point. All right, so Madam Octor Lena Levy, I'm not sure if you're in the chat or not. Don't know if the intent was for me to get MVP because I see you hitting it 4 times. I would feel bad grabbing the MVP from you, but I think what you want is probably for me to help you take the boss out. So I'm going to continue. I'm just going to use my keys. I'm going to try and take this. Nathan Hydra, the current meta, that's sort of been the meta before Gem Crush. Before Gem Crush, the meta has always been, because of the introduction of these cards that give you like 1,000 attack boost, like 2,500, etc. I kind of knew that was going to be the meta going forward, but with Gem Crush, I think it just made it a lot more pronounced. That's really sort of the issue here. Anyways, yeah, so like back to my point, right? When I did 1 billion damage output, like when I did a video for that, I was super excited, and that was with, without using much of the event deck. I didn't need, at the time, I never bought the deck past tier 2, I think. So I never had the ultra rare card. Back then there was no MC. It was just the ultra rare card and the event card and the support card. Okay, so that was like a long time ago. This is gonna, look at this. This is gonna be bad damage. Okay, so I'm gonna do this, and check this out. This is gonna be less than 100. Oh, see, I'm wrong once again. I thought it was gonna be less because there was a big cluster of red gems. So like, I was proud of it because I was able to say, hey, I was free to play, completely free to play back in the day, and I could do something with my deck, and I was happy with that. But now it's getting to the point where whether you're free to play or a spender or somebody who's really good at managing, your gems, and you manage to get a good deck, if you don't have the right cards from the past events, then you're sort of locked out of a particular set of damage that you need in order to compete. So you're sort of locked out of being competitive, and I think that is extremely unfortunate for how things have sort of turned out. All right, can we do this? Can we do this in the last 3.62 game clock remaining? Let's try and get this. All of our battle skills are ready to go. So let's hope for a nice hit here, and let's not screw this up. All right. Let's see. Where should we go? I'm gonna go this way. 2.7 game clock. Let's see. Look for the big flashes. I think I'll do this one. And that's the other thing. When you do the swaps with the shields, they don't do anything. One quadrillion. All right, so that was good. That made me feel a little bit better because at least I was able to help somebody out. So let's see. Support even answered the question on how the damage calculated with "we don't know." You guys know that creative damage calculator, right? So I don't even know how to do this anymore. I don't even know how to update my calculator to help you understand. Like in that video where I did like a little summary of all the things I think happened to make me deal more damage, I look back again and I realized, well, I think there were still a lot of flaws. Like I kind of want to come back and do another one, just like, okay, let's examine what happened when we dealt like tiny little damage and what happened when we did like a huge amount of damage, and hopefully we can find a better pattern. Like I want to just say thanks to everybody who really helped out, like, figure this out, because I think we're at the point right now where we've got a sense of what's going on. We kind of know what decks we need to go with, and I see a lot of people with really good damage, so that's good to see. But what about the rest of the people that don't have the deck? Like what can they do? Like I can't even come in as a new player, buy the deck, and have fun, because I'm gonna buy the deck and I'm going to be left behind in the dust. Okay, and basically just watch everybody else, get all the damage there. Probably be stuck doing diamond level bosses, right? Because with a full event deck at about 1 quadrillion health, an event deck can take it out, but it's gonna take a full 20 seconds. During this time, you may not be able to get MVP on your own boss, and that's what happened with me. I wanted to share. I don't have the screenshot anymore, but there was a screenshot that I took where I had I used my event deck against a fear boss that was a diamond boss, and then I ended up basically beating the second place by, get this, about 15 to 16 billion. Okay, that's how close it was. And I was using a full event deck. And that person, not sure if it was using full event deck or not, but I was barely able to get MVP. And that was my own boss that I started early with. So there you have it. So let's see. So next, see, Gem Crush isn't a problem. You don't mind it. The problem is they didn't think this through properly. And like you said, they've gone so far. Yeah, Genie's out of the bottle at this point. It's like, what do? Do you nerf the cards? Do you nerf the damage output? Do you make it so you can no longer do 2 affinity decks anymore? Do you take away Gem Crush? After this deck that came out with Gem Crush, you're going to get additional bonus, right? Like, what can you do? Like, they can't go back anymore. And that's what I'm saying, right? Like, or they say, you know what? We made a mistake with the boss health. Let's go back and we're going to take away the prestige. We're going to take away these additional bosses. Like, it's just going to feel bad. Like, for the people that spent so much time and effort trying out the event because of the increased health boost, this flopping back and forth isn't great, but they need to do something at some point somehow. The key for the huge damage is a shield. Yeah, so like you want to use the shields to not crush the gems. Totally get that. But the difference here is when you finally do the swap, sometimes you end up getting a lot, sometimes you don't. And I've had multiple situations where they're very, very similar, and it still depends on the RNG of your gem spawn. So let's see. Let's take a look here. Sir Osmos Sanctum, you actually came to like Gem Crush, but the boss health increased just too much that it makes the event deck trash. Exactly, that's my point, right? Like everything that we're talking about here is Gem Crush was good. First event, I think the unfortunate part is here's all the things that I think they should have done differently. And you know that I'm in their discussion group, right? I wasn't the only one that said, look, I don't think you should introduce this mid-event. I don't think you should do this in the middle of a season. That's what I say. That's what I meant. Earth event happened to be exactly in the middle of a season, so they introduced Gem Crush in the middle of a season. We said, let's push out to the beginning of next season. And then when they made an announcement that they were going to increase the health of the bosses because, all the data suggested that they needed to increase the boss health. Like, first of all, we were not told of it. So when we read it in the newsfeed like everybody else, we said, I think it's too early. Like, what data have we gathered to support this? Then after the previous event, where I barely played because it was so bad, I hated that light commander event. It was so bad. If I had done this stream last Sunday, I would be just using the word bad like the entire time. Like one word to summarize that whole event, I literally could have just written the 3-letter word BAD. and be done with my stream. Like I could just put that word up there and don't even need to talk, because that was the state of the last Commander event. This event, not much better. Not much better. And so what do you do? I'm kind of writing this right now, and I'm lucky that I was able to get some scores. Like, but it's because not a lot of people are playing. People aren't really playing that much. That's the only reason why I'm even this high in the leaderboard right now. So like, like how well are you guys doing? Like, have you figured out a favorite deck that you've enjoyed so far? Like, just overall, what do you think? Let's see. Upload by spreading the shields in your column. Yeah, so like you can use the shields for sure. Duck Carafini, you doubt the shields would work like that. Yeah, so like there's like definitely a lot of different ways to try different things. Still haven't figured out the right formula here. So let's see. Any other discussions here? Current event deck is useless. Yep. So that's what I'm saying. On internal, you got 48 quad damage. Hey, that's good. Congratulations on that. So BBX, are you asking me why I'm still playing? So here's the question. Here's my answer to people that like to ask the question: why do you still play if it's so bad? The reason I still play is because I want to play. I want to play the game. I've played it for over 3 years at this point. I never said, oh, I want to quit because it's so bad. What I've been saying is they made so many mistakes that this is the outcome of them not thinking through. And I want to make a difference. So if you were asking me, why am I still playing? That's your answer. I want to play. I'm playing because I want to. It's simple as that. If you don't want to play, don't play. I don't mind you guys, feeling that way for yourselves, but I'm playing because I choose to play. And because I'm choosing to play, I'm using my platform that I have access to share my thoughts and my feelings about how the game is, because I want to be honest about how it is. I'm not going to come up here and make it sugarcoated and say that it's all, candies and unicorn when it's not. And the reality is games go through these patches. And honestly, if it gets to a point where it's unplayable, then I won't. But right now I still want to play. And so that's why I choose to. So let's see, Eric Taylor, you think they need to just actually start listening to people? There are some programs. Let's try this one. So there are programs that they have. So there is a program that they try to listen to players, and they have these, like Feedback Fridays and all of these things. And I want to give a shout out to Catherine. So you guys know Catherine, that's on the network app. She really genuinely cares, all right? And she really tries to take the feedback, and she really tries to give it to the people. But the thing is, the reason why people feel like the feedback isn't being heard is a very valid one. It's not that the feedback isn't heard, it's that I don't know that they really have thought through the changes and the impact truly based on the changes that they've made. But what they have done, what I feel like they have been doing a lot better compared to before, is that at least with a small group that sort of they try to have discussions with on a weekly basis, they at least admit when they sort of like, hey, we made a mistake here, like what are some of your thoughts? And every week we will sort of like, give the same feedback there. But whether they do it the right way or not, I don't know. I'm not the developer here, so I'm not really going to tell them how to do it. Honestly, I feel like it's their game, they can do whatever they want, but I'm going to give them the feedback on my personal experience. And I generally don't say, oh, everybody feels this way, because I don't know that. What I do know is how I feel about it. And, I've spent enough time in the game to know when I don't like it. And the way that I know when I don't like something is I just don't spend much time on it. Like last event, I just didn't play. And I dropped from, like, I think third or second last from the leaderboard. All right. Like, I still beat out some people. I didn't play for 4 days straight. I think I stopped playing, Thursday night or maybe Friday, and I still didn't come in last. And so that was really something. And so, yeah, like, I gave a feedback. I was like, it was one of the worst events ever. Like, they just, they bumped up the health to the point where it's unplayable, and I didn't play. And so now it's, and then now with the sort of the second Slayer event after Gen Crush, first time that they introduced the Prestige. So this one's gonna 16 and 15, I guess. I'll try this one. So let's see how this one does. A bunch of shiny gems. All right, so this one's 1.6 quadrillion. So, like, after this one, then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna say, it wasn't as unplayable as the last Light Commander event, but man, it's stressful. And the reason why it's stressful is because like spending all this time and effort trying to make your gems work and then coming up with like not very good damage output because you can't predict it, that makes it stressful. So it's not unplayable. It just, the randomness sucks. That's really what it is. All right, let's take a look. And by the way, I'm sort of holding my phone right now because my phone really overheats. And so I have an ice pack. I have an ice pack here that I rest my phone on. It really helps. Like when my phone overheats, it ends up like lagging like to the point where I can't even like match the gems anymore. And so putting it on ice does really help a lot. Let's see. Ideas matter. You've been using Sunflare Mercenaries and Subaltern, and you've been getting decent damage. That's good. Like, there's definitely a lot of different variety of decks out there, but I haven't tried them yet. I definitely haven't tried them yet, and I think like, you know, highly encourage you guys to share like, you know, what worked. And, you know, if you sort of have a better idea on like how you're using the deck to get consistent damage, I think more than anything, like getting consistent damage rather than saying, oh, like, you know, with this deck, you can sometimes get a quadrillion damage. I think that's more useful. Like to be able to tell people, hey, look, you know, if you use deck, you can at least get consistently like 200 to 300 trillion. Like, you know, you may not be able to get a ton, but you can expect to get this much damage. I think people prefer that. And this is what I don't understand. Like, I'm just gonna make sure that I can get my fire gems first. Wasted a turn there, but that's okay. We're just gonna keep going here. They could tell you how the damage works, Jeff Hendricks. That would be easy, wouldn't it? But if you read their FAQ, they rather you figure them yourselves, right? They want you to play by yourselves and figure out on your own, which is exactly what we're doing right now. And I can tell you, it's not very successful. When I first started playing this game, I remember, you know, there were basically no documentation, right? So it's never been their strong suit. And so like, I would always like, how do I do this? How do I awaken cards? Like, what does it mean to awaken something? What does it mean to evolve cards? I knew nothing of those. And it was thanks to the community that, you know, like really provided the information that I was able to learn and grow from it. But I think the difference there is like, once that information is available, it's consistent. Like, you know exactly how to apply the knowledge to be better. This one, like, I could share this information all day long and it's still not going to help just because like it's so variable. Like this one, 2.8 quadrillion. Great. Why couldn't I do that last time? All right, so I think this is a pretty good run actually for our 3 keys. I think that was decent. Time out. Let's take a look and see how well we do. I mean, like considering that I'm sort of talking while playing, I thought that was pretty good. And somehow we got a 2.8 quad. Let's see, what did we do here? We ended up with 7 total, and we're in with KDC. So I'm pretty sure we should be able to complete. It's just that looking around. Okay, so we have people that can deal 6 and 5 and 4 all within a single attack. So we definitely have no problems taking this boss down. So I'm not gonna bother anymore. I don't think I need to worry. Think I should have 5%. 5%. I'm not gonna spend another 9 keys to go in because I think the boss will be dead by the time I get anywhere decent. And so I'm gonna leave it at that. So eternal bosses are actually not very key efficient, to be honest with you. So like my favorite is actually infernal bosses. So infernal Corelliums are the best. They're the most key efficient for getting the trophies. But I think eternal allows you to play much longer. Hold on, my phone just fell. They allow you to play much longer, and you can really sort of test out your deck that way. So let's see here. The Beast 2905. Do you have to have the last ultimate form, or can I replace it with another card? So you can replace it with anything. So if you take a look at some of the different ideas I've had, right? So here's one idea. Then here's another one where did it go? Where I actually use Perceptive Gurus with so I don't. I can choose to use. I mean, I do need to use Blitzkrieg Beast, but if you have Merrick, if you have like the Master Collection, for example, then you can also use that as an option. Really, like think about the killer skill that you're using. So because I'm using cards that boost Immortal, you have to find a card that also has that Immortal boost for Slayer for the affinity. Even if you don't have this, I think using a Master Collection card, or even if you have like the support card, that will give you a lot less damage, but it will still give you the kind of boost that you can't get from the other cards, especially if you don't have the event deck, right? Another option that I tried, let's see, I even tried things like this. So like I tried using Arcane. So if we just kind of change this out, and one thing I thought about doing was using Arcane, right? So one card that I thought about doing was, okay, so we can use Bonafide Brawlers as the main damage dealer, and then we would use Hilaria as the cards that give you the boost. I even thought about adding in Jailers, because the Jailers also give you a boost of 1200. So I thought I could use Hilaria, I can use Jailers, and the reason why I thought about using Jailers, in fact, let's test this out right now. I can show you what I did. We'll do it with this. So when I used Jailers, the thinking behind it was that I could use the Earth gems as a way to sort of break up the cluster of fire gems, and that would, help out a bit. And so let's see. So I need also... I need I think I need the event ultimate form because I need the fire gen 5s. The problem right now is I don't really have enough power gen spawn, and I don't have really the spell, but I think so. Like I could go with this, or I could go with something else. But let me first get my relics here. So let's set this up right now. Right? So we have the Arcane Killer. So here's what I can do. I can set this up here. Then I can get the Arcane Killer boost here. Although I feel like, yeah, that should be okay. This is what is going to give me more power gems. Although I feel like I might need another one. I think I might need another Earth card. But this one should be okay. Or I think maybe another Hilaria instead. So let's go with Fire Arcane. Let's add another Hilaria just to see. So let's go ahead and swap this out. So I thought about using this, and let's try and see how this works out. I doubt carefully and swap gems and cross your fingers. It is. Aether is a money grab. Now you can spend $200 trying to get the cards, and what's worse, the event deck is not doing the damage it needs to. They need to listen to the money going to the bank accounts. So I'll be honest, like I did buy the deck when Gem Crush first came out, and that's because I wanted to make sure that I could use a deck that could work. And then I realized, hey, I didn't actually need it after all. I could actually do just fine. Generally, I feel like, the game hasn't been a point where the game really has justified spending all the money for a very long time now. And that is because everything that they offer is just way too expensive. Like if they had gone back to the 50% off for all of the vault, for example, then that would have made it better to, for allow people to go to like tier 4 easier, right? And maybe like this, and then if maybe they didn't go with a $30 VIP on a monthly basis and dropped it down a little bit, that would be okay. But it just, everything is too expensive. So why spend all the money just to be stressed out, So let's see, next. So BBX, keep your voice, you can't say too much, but say what you can, don't be a liar. Okay. I don't think I have been, but thanks. I think you meant that as an encouragement, so I will keep doing what I'm doing. Nexie Pixie, it's not worth the tag. Yeah, like tagging for participation doesn't mean anything anymore because I can't remember when it was, but they took away the trophies from participating because they don't want people to tag. And there's two schools of thought here. Like some people like taggers and some people don't. Sort of understand both, but honestly, like if they're going to increase the health and they're going to remove the participation rewards, they need to start adding something like 0.5% participation rewards. For those of us who actually tried really hard and can't get that 5% threshold. Like I want to be able to get something even though I'm not tagging. Like I spent 20 seconds, 3 keys, 6 keys, 9 keys, whatever, trying to do some damage. Again, things that we talked about. they just didn't listen. So there are definitely certain things that they don't prioritize, and I think there's a difference between not listening and not prioritizing. I think that some of the things that we've brought up simply aren't thought of as a priority, and I think this is one of those. I'm waiting for a boss that's not fear. I'm okay even with weekend. I'm just looking for a boss that is not fear, and this is the problem I run into. Like, I have 5 bosses here that are all fear based. And what I do? How do I play this right now? And I'm waiting for another boss to come up. Come on. So I guess during this time I can just read the chat. So let's see. So the only problem is I have to swap one Hilaria for fear counter if I'm fighting a boss. So I could put in a fear card. That is a possibility, but fear is just one I don't even want to touch. I just don't want to touch that boss with fear. Like, so I spent 30 minutes yesterday. I mean, like, I wasn't just staring at it intently, but I basically waited for 30 minutes to see if the bosses would go away from fear to something else while I was, doing some other stuff also. And it's 30 minutes. So during that time, I just kind of killed some guild bosses and then came back, checked. I had Netflix on, so I was kind of checking out some things. Nothing going on there. Okay, so let's take a look here and see. All right, so here's one. Let's hope that this doesn't die too fast, and let's go and bring up our deck that we just tried out. So I'm not sure if this is really going to work, but like, I have to bring my arcane intensity really high so that I could create more earth power gems. Like, basically for every 100 arcane intensity, I'm going to be able to get 1 additional earth power gem, and so that's going to help. I hope that I can survive too. So let's take a look. All right, so my arcane intensity is growing relatively fast. That's good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to wait for Hilaria to give, passive ability for Hilaria to kick in. And then we will probably wait for like a little bit. I still need to power up my jailer still. Okay, so where are you? Where are my earth gems? There you are. Okay, so here's one. And we're already at 216, so I guess that's not too bad. But although I'm... Hilarious. Skill kicked in right as I needed to get the gem swap. Okay, there you go. Okay, so I need to wait, I think, 4 more turns. We're going to wait for 4 turns, and then I think we're going to activate... jailers first. Okay. So we don't need to get hit. I just need to get the gems to be created. So I'm going to wait for Hilaria to come out. I think it's going to be this turn. And if I have at least 8 power... So... Who was that? Somebody just came in and took out the boss before I had a chance to attack. All right, well, now let's wait for another one. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. You saw that, right? I was about to attack and the boss just died. Oh my gosh. And then we got 3 banished Mech Kieran here, 2 Sabrinas. Like, this is just... All right, well, I guess I can do fear. Let's try to see if we can dispel fear here. It's just that I'm not going to be able to do as much damage with this. I suppose I will bring in Master Hero then. And if I'm going to do that... Arcane... I'm not going to have much health. I'm not going to have much health here. Oh well. Let's give it a try. See how it works. Marlon, if you want your t-shirt, it's not a guarantee. It is a... I mean, I haven't done a drawing I haven't done drawing in a while just yet. I will... I'll do one next time. And I'll probably do... I'll try and find a way that you guys can do this without having to be in the stream too. I think that... I think that's something we can look into. But you know that those shirts are coming out of my own pocket, right? So I'm also trying to control how much I spend. You don't lock your bosses anymore? Yeah, I don't either. Okay, so let's just keep going. Now with only one Hilaria. Shoot, I might even die here. 379, is that going to be enough? I don't know. And I just got hit with fear. Okay, well, I don't really know. Oops, I didn't mean to do that match. Let's take a look here. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure it's gonna do a ton. I mean, like, it's decent, right? 45, and I think with this setup, it just kind of all cobbled together. It's really not where it's supposed to. But I think with higher intensity count and if I could have put in another Hilaria, that would have definitely worked out better. If you wanted to buy the swag, if you can, let me take a quick look. You know what? I will post it in my community later. The link to my merch store, so you can take a look there. Like, there's 2 different shirts there, and there's also the same hat that I'm wearing right now. I was glad I was able to find a vendor that the quality is pretty good, so I enjoyed it. Okay, let's see. Eric Taylor, that's exactly why you hate not getting your own solo bosses. Yeah, here's like just like waiting. They're all fear. They are all fear. Every one of these, every last of these, except I think Matcha. Is Matcha weekend, or is it Geogaya? Geogaya's weekend, not fear. I think Geogaya's weekend. Yeah, weekend. I'm not sure this will work. Oh, another one I tried to put in here was a light card. So there was another one that's also, I think, noble. So if we take a look at the light noble, right? I think it was a light noble killer. So I tried putting Haunted Hunters in here because what it does is it gives you, additional damage boost to your card. But I realized that if it's just regular damage boost, it doesn't help as much as having that attack boost. So if you can do attack boost and damage boost, I think that would be okay. Because then what you do is you get the attack boost from Santa, and then you do a damage boost from Haunted Hunters. But this didn't work. This deck did not work using Haunted Hunters. Did not work for me at all. So it's like, don't try that. Nathan Hydra, maybe try to copy your team call event 2 using a Hydra Extreme and bypass fairly easily. Yeah, so like, I just don't like fear, so I don't even bother going with it. So let's see. It was waiting for me to attack, and then yeah, so that was really funny when I was all set up to do an attack, and then boss got taken out, and now I have no bosses to work on. So but we do have an Infernal boss that we need to take out that has only 56 seconds remaining. So let's go ahead and do that. So here is where I would go up against these bosses with the event deck. So the event deck I use for the guild boss, for the guild boss. So at least I can say, hey, I use my coins for the deck, and I at least and using it. So it's not so bad. The deck is consistent. Like, I will give it that. It's just slow compared to what you can do with a mixed deck. If there is no mixed deck opportunity that can deal like quadrillions of damage every turn, I think that it would be a very different story right now. People would say, hey, event deck is still the best, and it's just super slow, and then it would just all about it would be all about the health of the boss right now. But it's not. The reality is it's the health, it's the gem crush mechanic. Nobody understands how it works. The mix affinity is so much better. All of those things is what led us to be here today. And so what I encourage you guys to do, everybody, like, there is the event feedback Fridays. And I know that people tend to want to use that as the place to really vent your frustrations, and that's totally understandable. And a lot of people also feel like there's no point in giving feedback because they don't listen anyway. But if we all give the same voice and we all just provide it in a way that is, consumable, right? I think that at least we can say we've done something about it. I can't promise that they'll read it, but if we can get everybody to just put in their thoughts, and it doesn't need to be long, and it can simply be like, health of the boss was too high, I did not enjoy the event, blah blah blah. And if everybody just kind of either upvoted that or just commented along the same lines, and stayed away from, you know, personal attacks, I think the point gets across a lot easier. And, you know, it's also easier for us who have the opportunity to sit with them once a week and say, you don't need us to tell you that the event sucked, right? Like, you don't need us to tell you this. You can hear from the player that the event sucked. You should probably consider playing the game to know that it sucked, and why just upping the health of the boss didn't work. You know, I think that, you know, that is for those who are still interested, for those who still want to, you know, who still want to make a change. And I think like not buying decks, not buying anything is one way to do it, but it doesn't actually get the message across. Like, they don't know why. Like, people don't know why they don't want to do it. They're going to keep tweaking. They're going to keep fumbling in the dark. And, you know, but like I said, whether you choose to play or not is completely up to you. I just think that if we really wanted to make a difference here, oh, there's two. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to randomly select somebody. I don't even know if this is a good way. Like, normally I would have just locked and like rally somebody. So instead, I'm just gonna go ahead and rally right away, and I'm going to. I'm just gonna one key this. Demon Blade is in my guild, so I'll rally him. Let's see. Do I see anybody that might be in the chat right now? Don't know. Well, I know I saw Colin William D. And I know you took out my boss, but I'm still going to rally you anyway. So there's one boss there that you can at least go ahead and attack. I'm not going to bother with this one. I'm going to focus on the other one. Okay, so with this one, I'm going to go back to, I think, the one that I feel gives me a little bit more consistency. So I don't get the 10 times a damage boost this one. This one is 9 times. But I feel like having... Okay, I can also rally other people at the same time here. So let's go ahead and do top 5. Feels good. Sounds good. Okay, let's do that. Master of Fate, Raffle. Let's take a look. Sounds like that is something that people want to do. Let's go ahead and... Let me pause for a second while I get this set up. Let me pause while I get this set up. Do a giveaway, and we'll complete this. I just don't know. Just don't know how long it would take, but let's go ahead and do this, and just wait for something to pop up. If it pops up, then you can go ahead and enter it. So I've started, but it'll probably take a few minutes. Anyways, let's go ahead and resume. If it doesn't happen this time, then like I said, I'll wait for another opportunity later on. The most you've dealt is about 260. So Nixie Pixie, maybe what I can do after this this attack is I'll take a quick look at your cards and see what options you might have here. And I wasted so much time at the beginning, so I only have about 6 seconds left. So that means I'm probably going to be able to do one attack. Okay, so here where there isn't a ton of dark gems, I think I try to get the fire gems in and then use the dark gems to spread it out. But in this case, it just... everything was in a line. It just so had everything spawned in a single line. So that was bad RNG at its worst. I don't even know how much damage I did there. I didn't pay attention. Well, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see how much damage I did after this. I didn't pay attention. But I feel like that was something bad. And then somebody can probably just take out my boss. Let's see. 18 trillion. Man. I'm playing the big leagues now. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's take a look next Pixie. What is... Nexie Pixie, what is your in-game name? Oh, we got guildies chatting with each other here in the stream. Nice. There's no chance that they're stumbling in the dark. You don't think that they're stumbling in the dark? I will tell you that as a fellow developer, sometimes You may not think you're stumbling in the dark, but honestly, like what you deliver, if it doesn't actually match the needs and what the customer really wants, then they're definitely stumbling in the dark. Next, ever knowing. All right, let's take a look. I haven't done this in a while too, where I go to somebody's cards and take a look. Next, the ever knowing. Oh, I remember. I think you took a little bit of a break, right? And so some of the cards that I've shown probably aren't even options for you. So let's take a look at the fire cards. So you got the event deck, so at least there's that. And then you have the Bonafide Brawlers. And do you have Hilaria? You have 3 of them. No, you have a support card. You have 1 Hilaria. So there, right off the bat, there's that, right? So you can give that a try. Let's just take a look at your deck. Let's just take a look and see what you are working with right now. So I see that you definitely have okay, so you have the Golems deck. I guess the problem is if you don't have the Fire Immortal cards, right? That would probably be an issue. Then the question is, do you have Santa? So like these are all the cards I'm looking for, and then we can try and be creative if possible. Okay. And using the event deck, full event deck, means that you could probably eke out about, 600 to 700 trillion damage. I'm not sure if that's what you're getting right now. All right, so let's take a look now. Let's take a look at your Immortal Killer cards. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. You don't have any of the fire cards. No fire cards, and what you have though is Arcane. Honestly, I would say that using Bonafide Brawlers with Hilaria and at least 1 Clandestine Clan might be the way to go. And I wouldn't try using Jailers. I'm not sure if you have Jailers or not, but I would say your best bet might be to try and go with 2 Hilaria. And I think you have, right? You have at least 2 if I remember correctly. Hold on a second. That's Slayer. I meant to put in Arcane Killer. So let's see. So you have 1 Hilaria. Okay, so you have 1 Hilaria. Then I would do Hilaria with Bonafide Brawlers and maybe Street Racing Frankie, because I think Street Racing Frankie will dispel weaken, right? So Street Racing Frankie, Bonafide Brawlers, Hilaria, and the event ultimate form. You need another one that gives you a lot of power gems. And I'm trying to think whether it's better to just say Queen of the Scene. Like, would that be better? Or would it be better to come up with a, another card that maybe spawns like some dark power gems? Like you can probably even be creative there and say, well, you're not really getting a boost from Area, but what Area gives you is constantly creating these dark power gems to sort of scatter the board a little bit. So for your 5th card, you might want to try using an off affinity card to break it up, because what ends up happening here is if you end up crushing your gems all the time, then you're not going to get a lot of damage. So don't use any event relics. So make sure you get 6 shields on the board, and then basically just kind of let it fly. Let's test this out. My friend list is always full, and sorry, I don't do a very good job at cleaning it up. All right, so let's try this. And like, what happens if you just don't have the cards that other people are talking about? So let's try with this, right? So we're gonna use 1 Hilaria because not everybody has 2. So we're gonna go Fire and we're gonna go Arcane Killer, right? Let's go Fire Arcane. Type Arcane, and like I said, so Street Racing Frankie does dispel weaken, so that helps. If you have the event ultimate form, that will work. Or I'm gonna just say, you know what? I don't even have the event event deck. I'm going to use this one. Okay. And then for my 5th card, I would like to be able to use jailers. But I'm going to try something a little interesting. No. Let's see. No event deck. If you don't have jailers, what I said was to try something like the Dark Immortal, and that would be... So golems will give you 3 gems when you activate, right? But it also creates power gems every time it attacks. So I think since you have golems, just put in golems. Because you're not really using Hilaria for the damage boost. Right? So let's give this a shot. Let's try. And hey, we have a dispel for weekend. I mean, it may amount to not very much at all, but it could be something. So where is... I guess we can go with this. No one's really hitting it. Now that I'm going to try this, nobody's hitting it. Now watch, I'm going to jump in, and as soon as I get ready for my big attack, somebody will come in and take it out. Stream sniping at its finest. All right, so here what we want to do is we definitely want to try and spread out our shields so that we don't end up crushing them. So right now I have them sort of spread out so that I have 6 of them across, okay? And let's at least match a dark gem, shall we? Oh, you know what? I think I put in the wrong relic. That would explain why I had some green gems at the end. So that was a little bit of a mistake. Okay, that's okay. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to try and... Well, we need to heal too. We're not really getting the heal. So I guess that's where having high performance area would have helped. Well, but anyways, let's take a look and see. I think I need one more turn. I also have to dispel dodge. I forgot that I don't have the event ultimate form, so I can't dispel dodge. Oh my god, this is not working. The boss is also just damaging me a lot. Okay. I have forgotten because I had the relic that gives me a heal every single turn that I wasn't really dying. So I'm going to go back and change to this. So that flopped a little bit. I think I need to try and damage a little bit earlier. And I think I might need to change my leader too. I needed to change my leader. I need to change my leader from... would it have been better? Because that would just be 300 times boost. I'm getting 600 health boost, 1.42 million. I think it should have been okay. I don't know. But let's wait for the next time that we can activate, and then we'll see. This is just me testing something out live here, so it may not work. And generally what I do is I actually would pay attention to what I'm doing so that before I make like an offline video, I actually try this a lot before I do something. But it may or may not work, so let's see. Okay, so I think I think I can probably take 2 more hits before I die. And I don't have, because I don't have the event ultimate form here, I also have lost the heal. So there's a lot of things that I don't have right now with this particular setup. And so definitely put in the event deck. Should I do this and then this? Okay, so now let's take a look at what we have. We only have 8 and 6. Let's see how much damage we can do with this. 175 intensity. I guess that's about 60 trillion. Yeah, it just doesn't work very well. It just didn't work. Or at least the way I tried it just didn't work. But give it a shot. Give it a shot and see, you know, like maybe I just didn't play it well. Am I doing well, Raffle, today? So I think I'm gonna do it. I think I will do a random drawing next time, just not for today. I didn't prepare for that today, so I apologize for anybody who was expecting it, but maybe we'll do it next time. So let's see. And I think, how long has this been going on for too? So like anyways, I wanted to do a stream today because I wanted to be like, kind of low key and just really have a chance to discuss things. It's not always going to be like a venting session, but I think it's just good to talk about how the event is going right now. What are the things that are wrong with it or good? I want to be able to say, hey, this event was really awesome. I really enjoyed it. I think that despite my rankings right now, I don't feel like I am having as much fun as I normally would. And so I would say, I think they missed the mark on this one. Yeah, Nixie, let me know. Just, message me afterwards. I gotta try and share my feedback for Legends of Runeterra. Legends of Runeterra looks a lot of fun. It really looks like a lot of fun. I never got really good with that type of gaming. I did try Hearthstone a little bit, and there's some people I watch that play it. But there is, I know, a lot of strategy that goes along with it. And like, I play a lot of different games, right? This one is sort of the one that I spend most of my time on. But I do try different things. So like, if I ever get a chance to spend time on it, I will give my 2 cents on it for sure. Chimengong, if you can craft one card, which one should you craft? I would say, can you craft any of the ultimate forms of the past? If you can, go with that. If you can't, probably either one of the Earth Slayer cards or the Light Commander Ultimate form. I think those two are probably better options. Master Fate, thank you very much. And let's see, the Beast. Would swapping Merrick with Despots of the Spirit work because you don't have the Despots? Yes. So if you don't have Despo, swapping Merrick is fine. The question is whether or not you have the event ultimate form. So like, I put Despos in there just because, well, I like using him and because he can passively create, but Merrick would work. But you still need the ultimate form of some sort. Con William, do you do a drawing for every 20 shirts sold on the website? Well, that's not a bad idea, right? Like, if I sell 20 shirts, I'll do a random drawing and everybody can put in their name. I mean, that'll be cool. I try not to make it, but I try not to make it so that you have to come in and spend money. The site was really created so that if you wanted to, you could just kind of get it yourself. If you can self-serve. I started sort of giving the shirts and hats as a way to sort of give back, and I did it for like several months, and so hopefully that has been good. And I will look for another opportunity and do something here. You can craft 1 MC, 1 euro, and 4. Yeah, if you can forge the ultimate form, you might as well go for it. That's how I feel. Like, you might as well just go for it and then play the event with it. Because at the very minimum, getting the 900% damage boost gives you the freedom to mix and match other decks, and hopefully you can do something with it. Okay, this is what I think. Yeah, this is not working. So like, I tried to do this a couple of times now, but I always have issues with a bot, and it's not doing anything here. And so what I'm gonna do here is, I wanted to be able to give you guys something, but I'll do this next time. All right. Can I quickly show the deck? Which deck? Don't forget your Marlon. The deck with relics. So the Beast, which deck are you talking about? You got event deck and relics, and you were able to do 5 quadrillion damage once with golems. Hey, that's awesome! Congratulations. And so the Beast, I'm still waiting to hear back what deck you're referring to with the relics. So are you talking about the one that I'm using, or are you talking about one that you have questions about? The one with a unit area that does the massive damage. So this is the one I'm using here. So in terms of the relics, I'm using the Fire Slayer relics that gives also some heal. So this came with the Blitzkrieg deck. Like I said, I also use the Hellheart Reliquary for the Despots side, because this relic also heals for every fire ultimate relic I have on the team, and so that's why I added in here. And I added here for the same reason, so I can get my heals also. And then I put in just 1 dark relic so that I can power up my unit area in the beginning. So thanks, Nixie. All right, so it has been a pretty long stream, and I appreciate everybody sticking around with me and just kind of play. I ended up ranting a little bit longer or a little bit more than I usually get to in the stream for the preview. So I appreciate you guys putting up with me and listening to that. Anyways, I will be back, and let me know though. I'm trying to keep the previews a little bit more concise, and so doing streams makes it difficult to keep it within a short time period. So I can try and do short streams on Tuesdays, or I can keep it offline where I just upload afterwards and keep it at 15 minutes. And I can continue to do like Sunday streams where we talk about the event and things like that. Let me know what your thoughts are. Give me a comment down below in the video once it's out, or just message me and let me know whether you prefer the Tuesdays to be streams or just an offline content that is, 15 minutes. And keep in mind that even if it's a stream, I'm going to try and be very, very precise and not go over 15 to 30 minutes for that. Okay, so that's going to be it for me for today. Thank you very much. The weather has turned out to be pretty nice. I'm probably going to go and do a bike ride with my family, enjoy the sun, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Hope everybody stays safe, take care, enjoy the rest of the event. And like always, thanks all for all of your support and feedback. So take care.